you should have come out and said what you really wanted to say. I hate that white and I'm glad we beat her. That's what you really wanted to say, Don. I'm not going to say I made a mistake falling in love with Caitlin Clark and women's basketball and following it all this season. I enjoyed it. I really did. I like to see athletes compete that are free of all the tattoos and all the hip hop, all the stuff that's been smothered in sports and baked into sports. You got to look like you just came off a rap stage or just came out of prison to play in the NBA or NFL. That all the music sounds like it's a prison concert, and it's just hard to watch. It's hard to stomach. So here comes a group of kids out of Iowa that look like normal women, aren't all tatted up. They listen to music that maybe I don't know, but it ain't cursing at me. It ain't calling me a nigga. It's not telling me to kill other black people. It's not telling me that I got to have gold chains around my neck and gold grills and all that. It's just basketball with women who look like women who, to me, weren't pretending to be masculine, weren't all tatted up. And so people fell in love with it because that's what we've actually been missing in sports. And there's parts of me that, just as I talk about it and think about it out loud, this is what sports fans have been longing for. And there's a lesson in this for all the sports leagues that will fly over their head. We just watched one woman, take a sport that no one cared about and probably increased the overall television ratings and the number of people that watch college basketball, women's college basketball this year. I bet you she increased it by 500% in totality. And all that they did was, and she is a phenomenal player and, shoots from deep. But mostly, trust me, if she had been all tatted up and she had been an out of the, deep voice like Brittany Griner and just an out of the closet LGBT, I don't think as many people would have tuned in. And so any person running a league, running a sport, you just got a great example of what a little traditional American values would do for your ratings. And it doesn't matter whether it comes in a white or black wrap packaging, because she just did what Michael Jordan did for the NBA. And Michael Jordan is about as dark-skinned as any black person I know. But he wasn't all tatted up. He told everybody, no, he didn't tell, because that's an exaggerated, made-up thing. But basically, his position was, I'm not picking a side politically. I'm going to go out here and play basketball at a high level. I'm going to be respectful and celebrate my father and mother and my upbringing. I'm not going to take a dump on this country that's making me millions of dollars and allowing me to provide for my family. People loved Michael Jordan, and they tuned in to see him play. If anybody was serious about growing their sports in traction and relevancy and selling tickets and drawing a bigger audience, they would follow the Caitlin Clark, Michael Jordan model. Been proven. It's time tested. It still works. We just watched it work at an amazing level. People are so thirsty. It's no different than the Tom Cruise movie that, I'm not that big of a fan of, Top Gun. A mediocre movie that TJ and Bobby Harrington and Anthony lost their minds over and acted like it was Gone with the Wind or The Godfather. That's how thirsty they are for something that has any kind of traditional values. They'd watch something mediocre and say, man, this was awesome.
It's a great movie.
But that's how thirsty the public is. And any businessman, any person that wasn't driven by an agenda would be out making more Top Guns and making more Caitlin Clarks and Michael Jordans than making LeBron James and these other tatted up idiots who want to take a knee and pretend like this country is killing black men at every turn. That's if they wanted to sell tickets and wanted their sports more relevant. But they don't. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking to destroy this country. And you know what it looks like? It looks like everything we saw as it relates to Caitlin Clark in this women's basketball season. I'm leaving this experience exhausted by the racism, exhausted by the jealousy, and exhausted by the phony Christianity and the promotion of transgenderism that's at the heart of this whole women's basketball deal. Caitlin Clark just exposed everybody in sports. If they wanted success, it would mimic the behavior of the Iowa basketball program and Caitlin Clark. And then they expose to you like, no, we actually hate heterosexual women. We actually hate white people that will not get on board with our leftist agenda, and we will destroy them. And so I'm Caitlin Clark, run off to the WNBA. They're going to destroy you. I won't be there to witness it. I will not watch. I have no idea why you're running off into that hellhole. And to watch all these women try to backtrack, and that's a lot of what Dawn Staley was doing yesterday. She celebrated Caitlin Clark, and Sue Bird puts out. Now that Caitlin Clark's lost, they all want to hop on board and celebrate Caitlin Clark. It's all backtracking. A memo went out before that game yesterday. It was like, hey, guys, we're making a fool of ourselves. We're pissing everyone off. We're exposing how wicked and demonic and racist we are. Sue Bird, cut it out. Diana Taurasi, cut it out. Lynette Woodward, put out an apology. Dawn Staley, run out here and continue this gimmick that you love God and that, Caitlin Clark is great. You know how long ago Dawn Staley could have told everybody, hey, get up off of Caitlin Clark's back? You know how long ago she could have done that? But she waited until after she won a championship. And now it's time to back off and tell everybody. She could have done that when some woman she didn't know that had nothing to do with women's college basketball, Rachel Richardson or whatever the Duke volleyball player was, when her auntie talked her into claiming that BY students chanted the N-word at her, Dawn Staley jumped in this conversation from South Carolina. Duke is playing BYU in Utah in volleyball. Dawn Staley jumped in that conversation all the way from South Carolina to defend Rachel Richardson, who was lying. Caitlin Clark gets abused all season. Everybody's trying to denigrate and diminish her. Dawn Staley's quiet and said, well, now that I got my championship, now God is good. And ain't God funny? And God answers all prayers. And, oh, I'm so highly favored now that I've won a champion. You was favored long before you won your first championship, and this is your third. And now you got all these crocodile tears on your third championship. You're more emotional about a third championship. You've lost one game in 2 years. And now, oh, God, isn't God so good? I just won my third championship. And I'm just bent over and I'm crying because I've lost one game in 2 years. And now this is proof of how good God is. Dawn Staley won a championship. God is good. Well, had you lost, what would you have said? When you lost last year, what did you talk about how good God was then? Last year, when Caitlin Clark beat you, you should have come out and said what you really wanted to say. I hate that white bitch, and I'm glad we beat her. That's what you really wanted to say, Dawn. In my opinion, I'm speculating here. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I'll be willing to prove wrong, and I'll come on here and acknowledge it. If your faith is real, welcome to the party. Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.